you're a Tesla stock investor and or potential future SpaceX stock investor, your new favorite subject should be data centers in space. Let's listen in on ARK Invest discussing this very subject.
Data centers. Elon has been tweeting nonstop about it, aside from the EU.
And you should give yourselves some credit because you helped break the news because he was responding to you.
Oh, no. He gave more information, but there were rumors of round and a potential IPO. And so then I tweeted out, if you're randomly thinking about how much SpaceX is worth, and I put the link to the valuation that we did with Daniel, who's not here, and Mach 33. But now we've got to update it because that did not include space-based data centers. Yes. That was entirely driven by Starlink, D2C, and then a little Mars outlook and book value of Mars. And so we've got a whole new avenue to explore.
Basically, we have like more work to do. And Elon was like, this is more work you should do. And we're like...
By the way, ARK Invest had I believe a $2.5 trillion valuation for SpaceX in 2030 that didn't include this absolutely, no pun intended, astronomical opportunity, which is going to dwarf Starlink and the rest of SpaceX's business. I'm not kidding, by the way.
Like, yes, we probably need to do more work here because he's planning on launching 100 gigawatts of compute into orbit, according to him, by 29 or 30.
Well, and can you break this down for me and the listeners? Because he's talking about railguns, interconnected satellites, and sending, gigabits of data down to the ground. Like, explain this to us, because to me it seemed like sci-fi.
It is a little bit like sci-fi, but conceptually the idea is that right now, OpenAI and xAI and Google and Microsoft and Meta are all out there trying to spend tens of billions of dollars, extending into the hundreds of billions of dollars to build data centers, on Earth, just on Earth. And it's hard to build things in some geographies, like most of the US, and it's really hard to build things and attach power to them. And so as you're trying to efficiently deploy this tens and then hundreds of billions of dollars, you run into scaling constraints. Like, gosh, we need to acquire all this land. We have to find turbine generators to power our data centers. And Elon's looking out and saying, I have the cheapest launch vehicle to launch things into space. If you go in space, you actually can have like a lot of surface area of solar panels that are always facing the sun, and you can attach a computer to them. And hey, actually, if you're not boxing them or doing too much density, you don't have that big a cooling issue. And so instead of dealing with all of this painful bit by bit putting together data centers, let's just loft the data centers where there's infinite real estate and infinite power.
That sums up the genius of this idea. Brett's right. Today, companies are spending tens of billions on the way to hundreds of billions of dollars on AI. He's absolutely right. Some of the red tape, the bureaucracy, everything from acquiring a site, getting approvals, physically building structures. One of the biggest pains in the ass, the thermal management. A bigger pain in the ass is getting sufficient energy. You'll often need an on-site battery or something. There's going to be a massive constraint with energy. There's already a massive constraint with AI chips. There's a bit of a lead time between demand and, say, for example, NVIDIA actually manufacturing. By the way, Tesla's working on that. Musk recently saying that Tesla's likely to produce more chips than the rest of the world combined in the future. He's not kidding. AI chips, Tesla, put a pin in it. Massive deal. This is another bottleneck. Musk looking out in the future going, oh, fuck. Energy, a problem. Speed of deployment, a problem. Thermal management, a problem. What can we do? Oh, I know. Data centers in space. All of that is a long way of saying the demand for this from SpaceX to launch products, not just their own, but for other customers as well, to inference in space, is literally got to be out of this fucking world. Never forget, people and companies will often pay a massive premium for speed. The AI arms race is well and truly underway. Join the dots.
And then the moon element is just, if you're starting, it's like getting off Earth sucks. It's like a gravity well, as they say. But it's like if you're on the moon, less gravity. You don't need rocket engine propulsion. You could use a different form of propulsion to get stuff into Earth orbit. And if you've got robots up there and it's a lights out factory, then it's like you fundamentally separate from the Earth economy in a certain way.
So that is a little sci-fi. You need a working Optimus robot that's going to work on the moon. You need to establish a moon base. There's a lot of engineering and stuff to go on there. But in terms of the elements to do space-based compute, he has a lot of the ingredients together. And has extraordinarily ambitious plans to do it, apparently.
And it's like, so takeaway of all of this, it's like SpaceX already has more satellites in orbit than everyone else. And everyone's like, okay, there's going to be like 40,000 Starlink satellites. It's like, okay, now we're talking a million. It's like, why aren't there millions of satellites, right? So it's like a fundamentally different order of magnitude, number of things in orbit. The other is, it's like, I think China's been crushing solar for the past 5 years. This is, I don't want to call it the bottom, but it's like solar was in a trough of disillusionment, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like, this is probably the end of that. It's like Elon's like, okay, we're going to go for it. And I'm assuming that they're going to build it. Probably not in China would be my assumption. And so then, when Elon goes after something like this, capital follows, and then company creation follows from a bunch of other players, right? Same thing happened with Optimus. It's like there were humanoid robot companies, but then Elon's like, okay, we're going after it, and now there's, hundreds of... So solar, it's good. I think it'll have terrestrial... It'll have terrestrial implications as well,
right.
And that's another, I think, positive externality. We only have a few minutes left here.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So Starlink is low Earth orbit. Where would these sit?
I think they would sit in low Earth orbit as well, is my assumption, or mid Earth orbit.
Yeah,
I think the key...
they have to be sun synchronous, right?
Yes.
So they're like always facing the sun.
So further.
Yeah, so they would be further up.
Right.
Because you wouldn't want them also coming crashing down as often as Starlink.
Well, it depends
does.
if you want your deprecation cycle for these chips to be 3 years, or if you want to extend them out to 7 years.
Yeah,
Big
true.
question going on.
Yeah. Right. I mean, net, it's also from a SpaceX perspective, you have a lot more lofting. If you think about it, we thought of it as just a bandwidth company. They're selling bandwidth to Earth. They're using the capital to build more rockets. Ultimately, they're going to export the capital to Mars. And, we did hypothesize that the moon would be a better place to service Earth orbit satellite operations because, it's lower energy to get off the moon. Turns out that's the direction they're shifting the plan in terms of servicing.
Bro, I'm trying to pay attention here, but I'm just like, what the fuck is going on that this discussion is even happening? Because this is actually going to happen. We are living in the future. These are serious investors having a serious discussion. It sounds like they're describing something out of an early episode of Star Trek.
Earth, and now they're not just selling bandwidth, but they're going to sell tokens to the likes of XAI and other AI companies. And so they have effectively a separate business line they're trying to launch, so to speak, and that will require launching a lot more satellites. So they'll have, a lot more reasons to launch, which is great because they're building such an amazing launch vehicle. And they'll have a whole other kind of demand curve to hit with their service.
And so then maybe last point here, and Brett, I think you tweeted this out and got a response, which is, this is the final, I don't want to say final, this is the ultimate convergence of the companies, right? You've got Tesla making chips, you've got SpaceX launching and manufacturing satellites, and you've got XAI as a natural customer here.
And
so,
X is where you find out about it.
And X is part of XAI. Yeah. So
no spot for the Boring Company unless you're digging holes on the moon.
By the way, spoiler alert, that's going to happen. If you're trying to establish a base on another planet, rather than having to build solid structures, if you can just tunnel and bore through, bam, tunnel, aka a very solid structure.
Which maybe more for Mars.
For Mars, you need the Boring Company.
Just over a month ago, Musk replies on X, my companies are, surprisingly, in some ways, trending towards convergence. It certainly has surprised me. When I first started this channel back in 2019, god damn, time flies, I did not see any meaningful relationship between SpaceX and Tesla brewing. Here we are in 2025 when it is obvious and inevitable that Tesla's going to be producing AI chips. XAI is going to be buying a lot of those chips. SpaceX is going to be launching satellites that contain those chips in one gigantic, synergistic circle jerk. More recently, Musk with just one word, convergence, in reply to Nick, who wrote, this is a convergence Elon is talking about. Tesla AI chips, SpaceX satellites, and XAI's grok. This really is surprising. And there's two kinds of surprises, the good kind and the bad kind. This is absolutely the good kind of surprise. As a reminder, in case you missed the recent video, some guy who has an uncannily similar name to my own, back in 2015 on a real estate investing forum, on the subsection for shares and stocks, made a post entitled Hypothetical Share Purchases more than 10 years ago. And he suggested at the time he would love to invest $500,000 in Tesla, which, by the way, at that time was called Tesla Motors, Solar City, which, funnily enough, after this post got acquired by Tesla, talk about a convergence there. He also wanted to put $5 million hypothetical dollars into SpaceX with a 30-year hold period. So let's see, recapping so far, he wanted some electric vehicles, some solar, Google's in there as well, so a bit of AI, tech, blah, blah, blah. He wanted a massive chunk of space. He also said that he'd like to spread $500,000 across some biotech, artificial intelligence, and robotics companies. How did we end up here in 2025, where Tesla, one, was electric vehicles, is now solar, and AI, and robotics, and now in bed with SpaceX? How did we end up here? Clearly, this convergence is a massive surprise. Now, the only thing in my dream scenario, I mean, this is just too good to be true, but it's true. The only thing that could be any better than this is if somehow Musk's empire, publicly traded empire, somehow includes a slice of biotechnology/genomics. I'm still extremely bullish, and obviously AI is going to help here a lot. And I know there's risk in saying this, but I think we're at pretty long odds for somehow the genomics world to get enveloped by Tesla and or SpaceX. But hey, you never know. A guy can dream. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.